What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Some hit the keys. And in today's video, I want to talk about what's better, analog versus digital, software versus gear. Make sure if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. But let's get right into this debate. Some hit the key. All right, guys, so what's better, analog or digital? For me, the answer is yes. Yes. I feel like you should be using both of them. I don't feel like one is better than the other, or I personally don't feel like one makes you a better musician than the other. And we'll talk about the pros and some of the cons to both here in just a few moments. But let me give you a little bit of history about myself. So I've been making music for 25 years now, right? And I spent the first 24 years of my music production in the box. So when I first started making music, you know, there was only programs like Acid Pro or Hip Hop EJ, and FL Studio had just come out. So I was making beats with like Hip Hop EJ and Acid Pro and stuff like that. Well, my friends, they was all using MPCs and motifs and just all the keyboards and everything that was out at the time, you know, all the Phantoms and stuff like that. They was making beats off that stuff. But I was always in this groove or always in this mindset of digital is going to be the way to go, because if you can do all this stuff in the computer, who needs a board? Who needs any of this other stuff? Boy, was I wrong. I never gave it the opportunity. So since I started off on one thing, I just stayed in my comfort zone. And I just really kind of started getting into gear maybe about 9 months ago, because I wanted to do more sampling and creating plugins and doing different stuff where I can use pedals and just create music differently, because I've been creating music the same way for 25 years. So I just want a different way to inspire me. So over the past 8 months, as you can see, obviously I got a couple synths here. I got a Modi X, I got an ASM Hydra synth. I also have this right here, this Microfique, which is fire. I have a ton of pedals, and I absolutely love running like the synths through the pedals, because it gives my mind different ideas that I never thought I would have before. And so again, I can't stress enough. I feel like if you are on the one side, if you're on the side of only using analog and you don't feel like software is good at all, I feel like you need to find the right software and start using it, because the software can help your workflow so greatly that you don't even realize it. And vice versa. If you're only using a DAW and you've never got your hands on a synth, I recommend trying to get a synth or a guitar or a piano or some kind of outboard gear, just so you can kind of get your hands on it. So for me, like the biggest pro of gear, like outboard gear, is that you can actually touch it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can touch the keys, you can mess with a bunch of knobs, you know what I'm saying? Like you can turn all this stuff and you can have a good time and you can jam out, while you're playing. So things that I don't like is the words in the community, how we talk to each other. Like, I feel like it is completely okay to joke. Like I always joke about Ableton users having Microsoft Excel, and then when they have the push, it's like you got your little calculator to run your Excel and stuff. That stuff's all jokes, but I appreciate everybody who makes music. But when we get into this lane of, you have people who have gear and they're like, you need to learn how to play a real instrument. Fam, a DAW's an instrument. And if you can't make a beat out of a DAW, you probably shouldn't talk smack to anybody else who's making music out of a DAW, because it's literally an instrument. It's filled with instruments. On the other end though, when you hear people who are in the software world, they'll say things like, your pretty little synth's not gonna be good in 20 years, or nobody's gonna be using hardware gear in like 10 years, fam. They're always gonna be using hardware gear. You have to get past yourself. Because you don't play keyboard, because you don't play instruments, doesn't mean the next person doesn't enjoy playing instruments. People be playing pianos from the end of time. You can't play piano on a keyboard like this. You know what I'm saying? So synths and like gear, it's never gonna go anywhere, because there's gonna be as many people that want to use software that want to use gear. So for me, part of why I like using this keyboard and stuff like that is, if you followed any of the live streams lately, I've been doing a lot of stuff where I'm just playing all the notes and everything like that. Now I know my name is some hit the keys, but I don't necessarily hit the keys the greatest. But this allows me to learn and I can put it down. So let's go ahead and hop into FL Studio 1 second. I just want to show you guys what I'm talking about. So what I do when I'm creating beats with like something like this is I'll get my chords together first. So you'll see like right here, I have my chords, and the chords just simply sound like this. All right. So then what I like to do from there, again, this is just hints and thoughts. You know, I know this is all over the place and I apologize for that. But what I like to do is I copy this over like 30 times. So I copy it over and I get about 29 bars and then I just start playing notes. And on this one, it just turned out great. Like if you look, this is one wave. So, you know, even though I don't play the piano the greatest, you know, I use this whole entire little performance that I put together. And that's something that you can do is just loop it over and over and over and over again, because you can cut off certain parts. And what I normally do is, you know, I'll chop it up and I'll only use the 4 bars that are good, or I'll only use a bar that's good or whatever. I'll copy and paste and I'll chop it up kind of like you would do a sample, and I'll make it work. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this real quick. I made this on stream. Shout out to my guy Sir Chump for sending me a bunch of stuff in this, and also shout out to my guy Keith Banta for sending me a bunch of stuff for this collaboration we did as well. But I just kind of want you to listen to like the top line piano, how it's different, the whole entire beat from the intro to the end of the verse. And I'm just gonna let it play to the end of the verse. I'm rapping on the verse. It's not all the way mixed down. None of this is, the song's not even complete, but this is just the best example I can give of how it changes my workflow.
I seen her from a distance and rode up on her with my persistence. And she was feeling my stance, and all it really took was a wink and a glance. I said, ooh, I said, ooh, I said, ooh, I said, ooh, girl, I love the things that you do, that you do. But don't get it misconstrued, I'm an old school player and the move is on you. Tell me, that ain't that game though. Didn't recognize cause you messing with them lame bros. The ones always coming with the same angles, like Jada in August, feelings is entangled. Nosebleed seeds, so I peeped it from the back. Call me Nostradamus cause them cheeks gon' get clapped. And that shit gon' sound like, and like an addict, she gon' be back, 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 back.
All right, guys, so with that, I just wanted to play it because as you're listening, and if you were listening all throughout the whole entire song, the melody is different. And that's something that I wouldn't do if I was just creating something in like software and like a DAW. Like there's no way in a DAW that I would put together 29 bars worth of notes to sound all differently. What I would typically do would just be to copy and paste 4 or 8 bars. And then, you know what I'm saying, build the beat out or however the case is. But with this, I have more fun because it just allows me to just push play. It's gonna play for 2 minutes and I just get to tap on keys and find melodies and do all kinds of stuff, find melodies that I would have never found before. And I feel like that's something that's missed and slept on when it comes to talking about gear. I don't wanna beat a dead horse, but touching it and feeling it's gonna allow you to create different melodies than you would have ever created before, even if you're not a keyboard player. And then like other things that I like about hardware are like, so like, let's say I have this synth right here and I push these 3 buttons down. Okay, now like, let's say I wanted to like put a filter on there and do all this other stuff. It's really easy. Like I don't have to like do a bunch of automation and a bunch of stuff. It saves a whole bunch of time. So in real time, I can literally push down 3 notes and start messing with LFOs, cutoff, resonance, and all that other stuff. And really quickly, I can get this sound. And that's the same preset as this right here. Same preset. In 1 second or in 3 seconds, I quickly changed it. And then another thing that's dope about it is I can hold the keys down. Like, let's say I was playing something, I can automate it as I'm recording it in. So just as I push record, and then I hold down my keys. All that would have recorded in just like that. Now I don't have to throw any effects on. I don't have to do any automation. I don't have to do anything when I get to the process of, you know, processing the sounds or whatever it is that I want to do. Just saves so much time and you just don't really realize it until you start getting your hands on. Like you're not going to be messing with Omnisphere and holding down keys and trying to move the mouse and being able to edit all the stuff on the fly like you can with a synth, or like with any kind of outboard gear. And I feel like that's something that's slept on as well. Things that I do love about software though, is that you can use a plugin as many times as you want to. You know what I mean? So like, let's say I have one compressor. I have an LA2A compressor. I'm not gonna be able to like continue to run the signal through this a whole bunch. I can't continue to use that if it's in use, if that makes sense. So if the LA2A is being used by something right now, I can't put it on another, place in my chain. I can't continue to use it. I have to print it, finalize it, and it's done. But with software, I can use as many versions of a plugin that I want to. So I can use as many versions of an LA2A or whatever compressor or whatever EQ, whatever it is. I can use as many copies of that as I want to without no stress. You know what I'm saying? And then another thing here, what we often argue about, or you hear, synth heads and digital heads or whatever you want to consider yourself. I'm an old head. I'm a music head. That's what I am. But a lot of times people will complain about, well, analog sounds better than digital, or digital sounds more crisp, or whatever the case is. That don't matter. The only people who are trying to find the difference between the sound of analog and digital is us musicians, because we're nerds. We like to nerd out and think that we know it all when it comes to music. So the average listener, they don't care if you recorded the music on some software. They don't care if you used a synth. They don't care if you had a nice mic to record with. They don't care if you recorded it off like an old Shure 7B or whatever. They don't care. They don't care. And so that's where the debate gets rough, is because it's like, why are we arguing about what sounds better when the listener doesn't care? And that's the person that we're trying to ultimately deliver the end goal to. So things like that frustrate me as well when we have this debate. So then I would definitely say like some more negatives and positives kind of tied into one. Like if you are using outboard gear, and once you record it and you print that and you record it and put it in your DAW, or you print it to whatever, you're making your groove box, whatever it is that you're making your music in, once you print that, it is done. But with the DAW and software like that, what makes it cool is that, you're probably gonna just program in your MIDI, and you can always go back and change your MIDI, or you can always go back and change your pattern, or you can always go back and add to. So that's obviously one positive to software over hardware. But in the flip reverse, once you make something and you print it, then you're committed to that and you're done fumbling with it. So sometimes it can help your workflow a lot better because you're done messing with the melody because you printed it and now it's stuck, it's permanent, you can't change it. And so, that's a positive and a negative in one. Another thing though is I don't necessarily consider like a MIDI keyboard like outboard gear, because it's only controlling what's in the computer. So it's only a controller for the computer. So I say that to be like the key bed on a synth versus a MIDI controller is crazy. Like the keys feel so good on this Hydra synth. They feel pretty good on the Modi X, but on the Hydra synth, and then you come over here to the MIDI controller and it's like my velocity touch, everything is thrown off because the keys just don't feel as good. And so that's another thing as well, is like I enjoy the process, Another thing I like about gear is that you can daisy chain so much stuff. So I can run my synth through a guitar pedal, through another guitar pedal, through my SP404 to get some effects. Then I can run it back through another synthesizer to get some effects and double up the sound and create so much stuff. Like you could do so much dope stuff without killing your CPU usage or just experimenting and having fun. Like that's one thing that I've noticed about since I've gotten gear, is that I just typically have more fun in the process. But on the flip side, with software, I can put as many effects on as I want to. I'm not limited to all the gear that I have. I can go find more plugins. There's free plugins everywhere. There's plugins that come out every single day. There is a unlimited supply of plugins that can help me get the sound that I want. So again, positives and negatives, but if you use them both together, it's only a positive. I mean, I guess I don't even know if this video is gonna help y'all out or not. To sum it all up though, I guess ultimately you can make a banger out of both. There are platinum songs on the radio right now where somebody only used FL Studio. They only recorded the vocals with FL Studio. They only had an interface and they got the job done. There's somebody out there who made a track only using synths, platinum, #1 hit, so on and so forth. There's somebody out there that's combined the two and they're making bangers as well. So for me, the answer isn't one is better than the other. I feel like we're all musicians. We should enjoy it. I feel like everybody should get some outboard gear, and I feel like everybody should enjoy software, because once you get to using them and you start using them together, it's gonna make making music more fun than you ever realized. So make sure if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Some, hit the key.